to go ahead and start. So first of all, thank you once again. Thank you for making the time. I know that for many of you, especially if you're already on campus, there's a lot of things going on. And for staff members, I know you're all stretched really thin right now. So thank you, and I really appreciate all the work that everyone's doing. And for those who are, whether you're a continuing student or you're a new student also shining in, welcome. I really hope that this information is useful for you. You'll have an opportunity to ask questions at any point. If you feel a little shy about asking the questions live, there is a comment box or a question box where you can start posing some of those questions, and we will do our very best to try to answer them. For the incoming class, we know that there has been several emails sent out to you, and there have been several presentations also being created. So we will continue reaching out. So if you have any particular question, whether it's a one-on-one question, especially specific to your case, let's connect offline. That way we can have a more confidential conversation and be able to provide you with the best resources possible. Sounds good? All right, so my name is Ana Navarrete. I'm the program director of the UndocuSpartan Student Resource Center here at San Jose State. And I am really excited to also welcome my colleague, Barbara Pinto, who is an attorney at the Immigrant Legal Defense organization, which is a law firm that supports correct me if I'm wrong, Barbara. It's an organization that supports immigrant communities around legal support, and they are also a very close college partner with us. So you'll hear from them a little bit more from Barbara down the line about the services that she provides, and you'll be able to ask any questions in regards to the services.
Oh, thank you, Anna.
So just real briefly, some of the things that we're going to talk about in the next hour or so is I want to introduce a little bit about who are UndocuSpartans at San Jose State. Definitely demystifying some of the questions a lot of people have about how do undocumented students access higher education. I also want to go over ways that the UndocuSpartan Student Resource Centers can support you and families as well, and campus community resources that exist around various topics, and of course, more information about the Immigrant Legal Defense Org and what they can provide for students who are continuing and incoming as well, and of course, for staff and faculty. So I wanted to first start off by just making a very clear statement of where we stand as an institution. At San Jose State, we're very welcoming and very supportive of all of our students, regardless of their immigration status. Just this morning, President Papazian did release an email expressing her support for the DACA program as we await for what's going to happen, for the future of that program. So we have a very strong commitment from our university system to make sure that all of our students not only feel welcome and safe, but are also supported through the various means and the various resources that we have available to us, whether they're on campus or off campus. So if any students ever have any questions about who do I talk to, how do I reach out to someone who I may not know if they're an ally or not, we do have a list of faculty and staff on campus that have gone through our UndocuAlly training program. Since the whole COVID situation, we will be modifying the program significantly. So that list will definitely be expanding. And I also want to remind folks that this list does not reflect everyone on campus that is an ally. There are so many more allies out there, but this is definitely one comprehensive way of knowing who to reach out to at what department and for whatever reason. So please check it out. And if you're a faculty or staff member and you're interested in being involved or learning more, just keep a lookout. We will be sending more information on future ally trainings or future trainings just to talk about the different areas that impact undocumented students and their access to a higher education. So the question, who are UndocuSpartans? So San Jose State has a very diverse population of undocumented students here. They all come from different backgrounds, they have different identities, they speak different languages, and come from different nations. So it's very important to demystify the idea that to be undocumented, you must be Latinx, and that is not true. We have many folks from various parts of the world, and we know that immigration is a worldwide issue. It's not just a Latinx issue. Our undocumented students have various statuses, whether they have DACA, whether they're just solely undocumented. Some of them may have temporary protection status or come with some sort of humanitarian or other type of visa. So it's very important that as we move forward, that we remind ourselves that someone's immigration status doesn't determine one, their success or even their eligibility to come to a California university. So I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. So how are students impacted by their status? So there are various ways, and every student's experience is very unique to themselves. Typically, a student without the ability to work or without a legal status does get impacted in various ways, such as having to work multiple jobs or having to work many hours to be able to sustain their family and pay for tuition. There's limited access to financial resources, and definitely very limited opportunities even for students who may not have DACA or work permits. Transportation and housing is definitely an issue that impacts students due to the lack of financial resources. Like I said, family obligations, many times students are also responsible or to contribute to the family income or to the household income. And there's definitely a sense of hopelessness, which I also want to counteract in saying that our students are also very courageous. They are very they persevere through thick and thin. And so despite the challenges that they face, it's really important to continue to uplift them and remind them that their success is not tied into their immigration status. We do have current immigration laws that limit the opportunities for people to legalize their status, let alone even be able to work here in the country. And on top of that, we also have other students also face other challenges, such as not being able to access opportunity that typically requires a social security number. It doesn't mean that those opportunities don't exist, it just means that they're limited. And so I'll talk a little bit about some of those resources down the line. But as you can see on this list, there are various ways, and this is just some of the ways that their status is impacted. And also reminding folks that someone's immigration status is not an identity. It really is a social condition that impacts their various identities and the way that they experience their own life. So I want to make that emphasis, just because I know we don't want to get stuck with the dreamer narrative, or this is who the undocumented student is, just because there's not one size fits all. And it's really important to acknowledge the diversity that our students bring to our campus. So what are some common questions or misconceptions that folks have around being undocumented? So one of the first one is, can an undocumented student go to college in California? And the short answer is yes. There are laws in California that protect students' ability to apply for in-state tuition or receive in-state tuition eligibility. Some of those laws are AB 540, SB 68, that are really more tied into the students' time here in California, in whether it's a California high school, K through 8th grade, community college, or adult school. And so for students who may have questions about, do I fulfill AB 540 or SB 68 eligibility, it's important for them to connect with us, and we can walk them through that process of how to go about it, and to also just have a conversation if we feel that there might not be an ability for them to declare AB 540 eligibility. Are all undocumented students documented, right? So those are folks who may have DACA, and the answer is no. Since the implementation of the program, we have had students that do not qualify for DACA due to the various requirements that students have, or that individuals have to fulfill to be able to apply to it. And on top of that, we want to emphasize too that students don't have to have DACA to be able to receive financial aid, which is another very common misconception. Financial aid, which is the California DREAM Act here in California, is really tied in to California state policy, such as AB 540 and SB 68. So as long as you can meet that requirement, you may also be able to qualify for financial aid under the California DREAM Act, regardless of DACA eligibility. Now, if a student loses their DACA permit, will they be kicked out of school? No. San Jose State and the CSU has made a very firm stand that no student is going to get kicked out just for not having DACA. And like I mentioned earlier, DACA does not impact a student's ability to enroll or pay in-state tuition. There might be some students that get impacted, but those are very, very few, and we encourage those folks to reach out to our office so we can work with them one-on-one and try to find ways that we can support them and connect them to additional resources. And this may sound like a little silly question, but it is something that sometimes allies or professors may have questions about. if I am a mandated reporter, do I have to inform anyone of a student's status? No, absolutely not. If a person's immigration status does not fall under any, a person's immigration status does not fall under any mandatory reporting law. And California also has a law such as AB 21, which reinforces the responsibility of college campuses to protect that information. So we want to reassure you that your status the student status does not have to be reported, or it should not be reported whatsoever. And there are laws to protect that information. And we as an institution take very close precautions to make sure that we're protecting that data and that we're making sure that no student's information gets out there. So here's just a quick slide. I won't go too much into it, but there are ways for students to pay for college. And one of them is to qualify for in-state tuition. And as I spoke earlier, here's more information about AB 540 and what folks can do to qualify for it. And if students or even allies have questions about a specific case, please let me know and we can definitely talk this out. All right. Here's an additional list of resources. So there are a lot of resources here within the university around scholarships. For example, the Financial Aid and Scholarship Office has their scholarship list available, and unfortunately it was already due May 1st. So if you didn't have the opportunity to apply, you can definitely apply for next year. And that scholarship list has various internal scholarships available. So you just need one application for all of them. And there are scholarships open to undocumented students, whether or not they have DACA, whether or not they qualify for AB 540. So we encourage all of our students to apply. The Dream.US is another very important scholarship that usually is open to students that are coming in. That deadline has passed, but if you're not a Dream.US scholar, or if you know someone that's is looking to come to San Jose State in the near future who may benefit from the program, please let them know about the scholarship. And then the rest of the list is really just a list of different resources across the country of just scholarship databases. So explore them. They're open to all undocumented students. Some of them may have very specific requirements attached to your academics and your goals, as opposed to not so much your status. So feel free to dig in and maybe invest a couple of hours of the day to explore some of these resources. So we have a brief questions on, and I'm going to take a quick pause. Someone asked, are DACA or undocumented students eligible to apply for loans? And so yes. So there is the California Dream Loan, but unfortunately that one is only given to certain folks. You must be a California Dream Act applicant, and it's because there's limited funding, only about 30 to 40 students qualify for it. If you did not get the loan offered, it doesn't hurt to reach out to financial aid and ask them if that loan is still available. It's about $4,000 for the full academic year, $2,000 per term. And it's available, I think there's a limit. I will get back to you folks via email on that limit. But it is open to California Dream Act students. In terms of private loans, there are some, and you would need to explore that through like a credit union or some sort of private loan bank or something like that. But I usually caution folks, just because those have really, really high interest rates. You typically have to have a co-signer as well to take to be on the loan. But I can try to gather a list to provide to students and to also attach to the follow-up email on this webinar. Thank you. So here are some additional resources. One thing that I want to emphasize is that for immigrant communities, one of the areas that we oftentimes neglect is our own health and wellness. So I want to provide some resources to encourage students and also allies to reach out to some of these resources and get some get some additional support. Especially if you as a student are feeling overwhelmed, you really need that additional emotional support, there are a lot of really great resources. At San Jose State, there is SJSU Counseling and Psychological Services, known as CAPS. Those are free of cost to our students. There is a limit of how many sessions, but we have really incredible allies there that are, always down to help. So that's one way. And they also offer support to students who are looking to know how can I become a better student, right? How can I study? How can I prepare myself? Because I know for many first generation students, we don't often have those conversations of what it means to be a student, right? How to talk to faculty, how to write an email, how to study. So CAPS has incredible educational counselors that can meet with students one-on-one and really go over some of those questions and concerns that students may have. So definitely encourage folks to go check them out. There's also really great resources through like Immigrants Rising. I really, really love their resources because they do have a mental health connector. So if folks are thinking about like, how do I connect with a mental health professional in my area? They can definitely help you find someone at low cost or no cost at all. In the surrounding area, and it's free of, and like I said, if you can't pay for it, just let them know and they will try to make sure to find someone that can offer free services to you. Now, employment and work options, because I know that's a huge question for folks, especially those who don't qualify for DACA or may no longer have a work permit available. So there are several organizations that have been developing webinars and presentations and resources around how to work for yourself without necessarily having to go through the formal channels of employment. So Immigrants Rising, as well as the Dream.us, has really partnered up with various entities across the country to really present about what does it mean to work for yourself as an undocumented person through limited liability companies or through entrepreneurship. So I included 3 webinars. They're about an hour each. Check them out. And give me a second. So it says like not sure if only the screen. I'm so sorry. Am I having it difficult? Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you so much. So when it comes to employment and work options, I encourage students to check out these resources and even for allies, just because there's really not one straight answer, but there are really great examples of individuals who have been able to figure out how to work for themselves, how to create their own companies, or just how to build worker co-ops, which is another way of working in the US. And so check them out. Throughout the academic year, we're going to be promoting more resources. We're going to try to do more on-campus support around some of these topics for students. But this is really one great introduction to this topic, just because it can be very complex. But if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. And in terms of, I know the question is going to pop up about working on campus. Typically on campus for student assistance positions or just to work here in general, you must have a social security number or a work permit to be able to work. But that doesn't mean that there are not opportunities that are paid that are open to students just in general, just for being a student. So there are ways that you can earn money while gaining professional development skills. So I have a question. How would the students become aware of these webinars? So one way is definitely checking out our newsletter. So at the end of this presentation, I'll show you where you can find that newsletter. We tend to promote tons of information on there. They're super long, so anyone who has ever seen one of our newsletters will let you know how long they are. But we're very intentional with the information that we include there. With time, we're going to try to organize ourselves a little bit more to make sure that that information is easily accessible, as I know folks' emails can get flooded really quickly. So I will work on that, but the newsletter is going to be the best option. I also encourage folks to check out Immigrants Rising, get on their newsletter as well. They do promote a lot of that information. Social media, that has been the one tool a lot of us have used to disseminate resources and inform people of upcoming events. And other than that, just let us know if you have any questions about where can I check out research for a specific topic. We, more than likely we know who to refer you to or what resource would be beneficial to you. Now, about the UndocuSpartan Student Resource Center. So we provide a little bit of everything from one-on-one personal and academic support. We're not advisors, but we can definitely help students navigate the different processes that they have to go through, or help them connect to campus partners here in the university. We also provide legal support services and DACA fee assistance, and Barbara can speak a little bit more about that. In addition, we do provide students with information around scholarship. We help them with budgeting, because I know that's a big piece, especially as they're coming in. And we do carry out various workshops to cover several topics, such as life after college, and including bringing in panelists. So these are students, whether current or alumni, who share their experiences about what it means to work while undocumented. We also have financial aid workshops and financial aid consultations at the center. This time around, everything has gone virtual, so we'll continue to inform folks about upcoming webinars or upcoming financial aid workshops. We also have, do community building. Our amazing team of student interns and student allies across campus, they put together events to really address and just celebrate immigrants in general. So keep a lookout for that. If you just want to do a de-stressor and just celebrate, we do plenty of that. And of course, bringing up workshops around what it means to be undocumented or be an immigrant across the different intersectional identities, because that's really, really important. So keep a lookout for information as we lead into the academic year. But these are some of the ways that we as a resource center can support our students. And let me see if I'm forgetting anything. I think that's about it. We do ally trainings, and I think I mentioned that already, for faculty and staff. And we hope to be able to create some ally trainings for students and allies that will also help them inform about how they can best support their peers and their families. All right, so does anyone have any other questions before I move on to Barbara? All right, so I'll answer the questions on the side for folks. And I know there's one question in would it be possible to create a digital locker for department? Yes, we can definitely do that. We've been trying to keep up with the newsletters and publishing them online, so that you might find some old ones, but we're going to use the summer to update our website and be able to post up all that information as well. Thank you for that. All right, go ahead, Barbara.
Great. Thank you so much, Anna, for all that helpful information. So as Anna mentioned, I'm Barbara Pinto. I'm one of the managing attorneys at Immigrant Legal Defense. And we're a nonprofit organization that serves, one of our projects is that we serve the CSU community. And so we are one of 4 legal service providers, one of 4 nonprofit organizations that provide legal services to CSU campuses. And our organization in particular serves the CSU campuses in the Bay Area, Central Valley, and Central Coast. So of course that includes your campus, San Jose State. And our services are for students, their families, staff, and faculty. So please feel free to reach out to us. And before everything happened with this health crisis and this pandemic, we were on campus with in-person meetings, but now we are conducting all our meetings virtually. And we're providing immigration consultation as well as case representation. So even though it's virtual, we are still continuing with all our services and preparing cases and filing them with immigration and representing individuals in their cases. Like I mentioned, all our immigration services are free and they're all confidential. So when we meet with a student, a staff, a faculty, or a family member, that organization only stays within our organization and our attorney. So we don't share that with your campus or with anybody else without your permission. And we provide a lot of different types of services. So of course, if anybody just has like an immigration question that they want to ask us, they can come and talk to us. If someone wants to see what options exist for them, whether they're undocumented, they have DACA, or they have some other type of temporary status or visa and want to see what permanent option is available to them, we can definitely speak to them. Or maybe someone is undocumented, has never filed for anything with immigration, and has never talked to an attorney. We can also talk to you and go through our questions to see, through our assessment, to see if there's any option available to you. Because our goal is to be able to communicate to folks we meet with, if you are eligible for some permanent type of relief or something with a path to citizenship, to be able to talk that through with you. And for those that are eligible for a type of relief under immigration, we also help with representing them in their cases. So we're your attorneys in your immigration case. So we represent individuals in immigration court. So those that are detained, so ICE, immigration, detains someone and puts them in an ICE detention center, and they have to go to court while they are detained. We represent individuals in that scenario. Also those that are in immigration court but are not detained and have to fight against their deportation. And we also handle other types of petitions and applications, for example, DACA renewals, family petitions, a U visa, T visa, VAWA, special immigrant juvenile status. I'll explain what those mean in a little bit. We also handle asylum applications and applications for those that want to apply to become a green card holder, to get their lawful permanent residency, or to apply to become a citizen. This is not an exhaustive list. We also help with other services. These are just more the common forms of relief that we help with. Okay, great. Okay, so there's a question. Can we still utilize ILD services even if we don't go to San Jose? You know, I think either way, reach out. If we have capacity and can serve you, we could definitely talk to you. And either way, all our services are free for our organization. So there's nobody that we charge. So please either contact us directly, or you can go through San Jose State. And when you meet with us or an attorney, we sort of assess if the person, like I mentioned, we assess if someone has an immigration option available to them. Can they obtain legal status? Can they get on a path to citizenship? And so I wanted to run through, since I mentioned all the services we provide, I wanted to run through the common forms of relief that we see. So one way for somebody to obtain a green card is through a family member that has status, through an employer, or another way. Another common form of relief that we see is also special immigrant juvenile status. That is, and sometimes it's commonly referred to as SJS or SJS. That is for youth under the age of 21 who have been abused, neglected, or abandoned by one or both parents. Again, for all these forms of relief, I'm mentioning sort of the main general requirement, but these are all, immigration law is very complex, so there are, of course, other requirements and other things that would bar you from applying for these types of relief, but just very generally, wanted to give you a sense of what they were and who may qualify, so that if you think it applies to you or someone else, please come talk to us. And the other thing I wanted to mention about special immigrant juvenile status is what type of harm qualifies, is like what is considered to be abuse, neglect, or abandonment is a very legal term. So, and we can discuss that with you all if you have any questions about that. So come talk to an attorney. It's under, the standard is under California law, not what is common or what is the standard in other parts of the world. Okay, and another form of relief is a U visa for people that have been victims of violent crimes in the US and that have cooperated with law enforcement in reporting that crime. So for example, someone is robbed at gunpoint and beaten up, and they report it to the police. If you can obtain a copy of that police report, please come and talk to us. Other common crimes that we see, for example, is someone is a victim of domestic violence, either by their spouse, parent, partner, or somebody else in their family. Other common crimes that qualify under the U visa are stalking, felonious assault, kidnapping, sexual abuse, that sort of thing. There are others as well. So if you think this may apply to you, please come talk to us. And VAWA is a way for someone to get a green card if they have suffered domestic violence by a spouse, parent, or adult child that has status. That's either lawful permanent resident or a citizen. So sometimes the person may have an option of either a U visa or a VAWA or both, and then we can assess with you what would be the best option or the better strategy for your case. And something else that's related is the T visa, which is for victims of human trafficking. Another form of relief that we also encounter is asylum. So if you've suffered harm in your home country or you fear returning because you suffered harm, that is a reason to talk to an attorney to see if you qualify under asylum. Unfortunately, not all types of harm or fear qualify, and there are other requirements that may make it so that you don't qualify, but either way, please come talk to us or an attorney. Because with these forms of relief, like I mentioned, we've had people come in and thinking, oh, I'm going to apply for this one thing, and in talking to them, it turns out they have this really strong case that's something different than what they came to talk to us about. It's always good to check in. Just because you come talk to us and receive a consultation doesn't mean we're going to start filling out forms or start working on your case right away. That's not what you want. It's definitely a decision that you as the client need to make, whether you want to pursue this, whether you want to retain us as your attorney. So consultation is just something to check in, know what your options are, and then we can go from there. Something else I wanted to mention, so with these common forms of relief, for some, if you're granted, you get a green card, and for others, you don't. You get this other type of status that then later leads to a green card, and then later citizenship. So something to keep in mind that in immigration, to be able to get to citizenship can be a multi-step process. And then if you already have your green card and are a lawful permanent resident and want to see if you're eligible to become a citizen of the United States, that's also a type of case that we handle, and you can come talk to us about that. And like I mentioned in the previous slide, we also handle deportation court defense. And so if you're in immigration court and need an attorney to represent you, please, like I said again, please come talk to us and we can do a consultation with you.
Barbara,
okay.
There are a couple of questions.
Okay,
So the first one is if you can elaborate on how an employer can help in the process of obtaining a green card.
Okay, great. Yes. So that works similarly with a family petition, where someone needs to petition for you or sponsor you. So it would be the employer applying on your behalf to be able to get a green card. With employment visas, there's a lot more different types of employer visas, and there isn't just one type. For example, like if through a family member, there are different types of family relationships that can qualify, that person can sponsor you, but you get the green card at the end. But with employment visas, those can be very different. So for example, there are some that just are temporary and just give you a temporary stay, and some where you can get a green card, and it varies depending on your education, your field of study, what your position is with the employer, what type of company it is. So it's a lot more that's taken into account. Plus, you as the individual being petitioned for by the employer have to be eligible to receive your green card through your employer. So you have to meet all those requirements. which is why sometimes we see employers that are willing to petition for somebody, but the person can't be petitioned for because they're not eligible to receive their green card. And also why we see so many mixed status families with U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident spouses or parents, and the person not being able to obtain their green card through them, because our immigration system is very broken and does not make it easy for people. But like I said, if you want to learn more, come talk to us. And if it's a type of case that we don't handle, then we can provide trusted referrals for that.
And Barbara, another question. How can students reach out to you if they need assistance with their case?
Yes, good question. So we have set dates where we have legal clinics scheduled for your campus at San Jose. The next one is on the 12th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And all our clinics are year-round. And so just because the semester ends doesn't mean we stop providing services. So we had services in the fall semester, spring semester, and now in the summer as well, and we'll continue in the fall. So either get in touch through Anna and the center to make an appointment to see us, or if you wanted to contact us directly, our email address is info@immigrantlegaldefense.org. And oh, sorry. Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say, if you go to our website, sjsu.edu/UndocuSpartan, you will be able to find the tab for legal services. And in that tab, you'll also find the link to sign up for an appointment. And Barbara and her team have been, they don't just meet with folks during those set times and those set dates. So if it's an emergency, or if you need to meet with someone outside of those dates, feel free to ask.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you. And the other thing I wanted to mention, so let's say you are already working with an attorney or already filed something with another attorney and just want to get a second opinion, or you don't want to continue working with that attorney and see if we can help or take on your case, then you can also come talk to us in those scenarios as well. Think of hiring as an attorney as contracting for sort of any type of service that you have. For example, like your home needs to be painted or you need a plumber. You can, if you're not happy with one, you can always end those services and try to find somebody else. You definitely don't want to have a lot of the same attorneys working on the same case, because you don't want immigration to receive different files at the same time for the same application. But definitely, if you're not happy with a service you're receiving, you could always terminate that representation and try to find somebody else you feel more comfortable with.
Thank you. And there's another question. Can a relative petition for a green card for financial sponsorship?
So a family member, depending on the relationship, can petition for a family member to receive a green card. In that, part of that application is also showing that the person who's applying for the green card isn't going to be a public charge or a financial burden to the government. So you do need to have a financial sponsor. It normally is the person that's petitioning for that undocumented person, but if not, it could be somebody else as well. I'm not sure if I answered that, but questions like that can also, it's probably more helpful if it's a personalized answer. So feel free to come and make an appointment to come talk to us.
Thank you, Barbara. Are there any more questions from the audience in regards to the legal services? I don't know if it was mentioned earlier about, if students have family members that also need immigration support. I believe, Barbara, you would be able to work with them as well?
Yes, so family members also qualify for our services. So feel free to sign up parents, siblings that
Thank you.
need assistance.
So if there's no more questions, I'll go ahead and just share a little bit about, how to contact us, how to reach us. So we are located in Clark Hall, 100F and 100G, right in front of EOP. Don't know if we're going to be open in the fall, keep an eye out, but at least virtually we are available. Our contact information, feel free to reach out to us via phone. I'm the one answering those phone calls at the moment, or you can also email our general UndocuSpartan email. I also provided my personal email in here, and I'll update these slides when I send it out to folks with the ILD information as well. But like I said, if you check out our main website, sjsu.edu/UndocuSpartan, you'll be able to sign up for our newsletter and receive more information on upcoming events, resources, and just anything that's happening on campus and in the community that impacts our communities. And of course, social media, that's another way to keep in touch. If you don't have a social media account or don't want a social media account, that's completely fine. But one tip that one thing I've seen some students do is that they create a social media account just to be able to follow the SJSU pages and keep up with the events. So that's a really great tip that I learned from some students. So, if you don't have one, check it out and, just at least create an account so you can stay on top of what's happening across campus and across the different resources that are out here. There's a lot of really great information. Now that we have the whole shelter in place, we're trying to become more visible through social media and all of these different outlets that we have accessible to us. Now, there's one question before I close off. So does the service defer for under 21 and 21 and over? Is this in terms of, I'm assuming this is in terms of legal resources or legal services?
And if it is, it doesn't. It's just, in terms of our services, we serve any age, any type of status. But what does change is the type of relief or options under immigration law you may be eligible for or can be included under, depending on your age. So that's more what I wanted to mention. So if someone is under 21, even more reason to come talk to us, because there potentially may be more options available to that person, depending on their personal circumstances.
And if I may also add, faculty and staff are also have access to these resources. So, for anyone who may, have concerns about like having to pay out of pocket for a very expensive attorney, the legal services are here also free of cost for the consultation. So it's another great resources for our faculty and our staff members here on campus. All right, so that concludes this presentation. For staff and faculty, I will follow up with more information on upcoming presentations, more tailored to your own function and how you can support students. And for students, keep an eye out for more information, especially throughout the summer for those who are incoming. For those who are continuing, we're going to have more resources for you coming into the fall, but we're here throughout the summer. We're not going away just because summer is here. We're completely available, so give us a call, shoot us an email, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible and work with you one-on-one. If you have family members that may be interested in learning more about how the center supports you as a student, or how or just in general, we can also speak to family members, or we're happy to speak to them and provide them with general information about our services and answer any questions that they may have or any concerns. But we want to reassure you that we are committed. We're committed to our students. We're committed to supporting our staff and faculty as well that are looking for that additional resources to support their students. We know that not all students or all staff and faculty may feel comfortable coming to the center for whatever reason, but we will make it work. Whatever makes people feel more comfortable and much more safer. There are different ways that we can connect and also maintain confidentiality. So thank you so much for tuning in. Like I said, we will be having this information on our YouTube channel, so I'll follow up via email with all of you, so you can also share it out with other folks that may be interested in learning more about just general information about our resources and also information about the legal support services that are offered here at San Jose State. So thank you so much and have a great and wonderful weekend.
Thank
Stay
you.
safe.
Bye.
Thank you.